G'day viewers, my name's Graham Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists do what they do.
Well, hi viewers, how are you? Well, I'm up in the Sierra Nevadas in Northern California, a little town called Grass Valley. And we're coming, as you can see, there's dogs in the background, we're out in the country. But I'm going in to see a gentleman called Harvey Leach. Now, Harvey is the #1 inlay artist in the world, and he's also one of the world's leading guitar makers. So you've got art and craft combined in this amazing human being. So let's go inside and have a talk to Harvey. You're going to see some stuff today that's going to blow your mind, because when I first saw what Harvey was doing, it blew my mind. This man is incredibly talented. Let's go and have a look at what he's doing. G'day, Harvey.
Hey, good to see you.
How are you, matey?
doing?
Great to see you.
You too.
Can I come and see what you're up to?
Please do.
Fantastic. What an amazing place you've got here.
Well, thank you.
It's fantastic. Okay, guys. Well, here we are in the workshop of Mr. Harvey Leach. Harvey, fantastic to
Welcome.
be here.
Thank you. Glad you're here.
Harvey's actually really prepared the shop for us today, and he's going to take us through the process of how he puts the guitar together, and then we're going to go into the other workshop and see how he does these. I mean, literally, when you look at this, you'll think that they're paintings, and they are absolutely magnificent. Let's have a look through the first part of the workshop,
Okay.
and explain to people how the guitars are put together, and then we'll go next door and we'll make a picture. Okay, Harvey. Now, probably the most important part about what you do, apart from the precious stones, is the timber that you use. Can you describe to us the different parts of the timber? What happens with that?
Sure. Well, one of the things that I really like about what I get to do is I get to work with nature's treasures. Mm-hmm. You know, and building guitars, I think it's kind of an interesting thing because there's 3 artists involved in every guitar.
Yeah.
Mother Nature,
Yes.
who is the ultimate artist. Me, the guy who builds the guitar, and then it has to be in the hands of a person who can play it. So this is kind of one of the most common woods used for guitar making. It's Indian rosewood. Mm-hmm. And for the top wood, this would be Sitka spruce.
Okay.
So probably half the guitars made in the world are either made out of mahogany and spruce or Indian rosewood and spruce.
But you've got some timbers here that are very, very specialised and very exclusive too.
That's correct. Yeah. I almost never use these.
Okay.
They're too common, I guess.
Yeah.
This particular piece of wood here is a piece of redwood.
Yep.
That came from a wine vat. You can hear this, the way it rings.
The resonance.
It's like a piece of glass.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So this is one of the most amazing woods out there, and it's very rare. There was only one tree, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's gotten down where there's only probably a couple hundred guitar sets left.
Okay.
And last but not least here, I have this piece of wood here.
Well, this stuff, this is quite amazing. There's a story behind this that's incredible.
There is. This is probably the most highly sought after guitar wood in the world. And it's a mahogany that was cut down in the Chickabul jungle in 1965. It's this huge tree.
Yeah.
It rolled into this ravine, and it sat in the ravine for, I think, about 10 years.
Yeah.
And then an American went down with a team of people, and he went back, and they dragged this tree out of the forest. They cut it into quarters and dragged it out of the forest. And when they got it out to the mill and cut it up, it had this incredible flamed pattern to it. Mm-hmm. So, but like I say, we like to tap on stuff, and this one doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it is dancing.
The remarkable thing about it is a guitar made out of this doesn't sound like mahogany. It sounds like rosewood. So
Right.
it's kind of like an added benefit to it because.
But even the grain in this,
Yeah.
if we can just look closely, this is not the normal grain of a tree, is it?
No.
For whatever reason, it's done what it's done.
Right. I squirt a little alcohol on this and show you
Yeah,
what,
yeah,
this,
let's have a look, yeah.
what this looks
I'll
like.
hold it and...
In fact, we'll do both sides of it because
Okay.
so we'll kind of hold it just
Okay.
like this here.
Okay. Wow, look at that. I mean, just the grain in this, it's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like it's really like nothing, no other wood.
But there's another stage that we have to move on to.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so the next thing that happens is I would take these two pieces of wood and I would join the edges of them so that they're smooth.
Uh-huh.
Then I put them in this thing here. So typically this would be two pieces of wood. This is a back that has already been glued up.
Yeah.
So it goes into this jig, which basically what it does is you put this rope through here like this.
Yeah.
And I would do that on all three of these.
Yeah.
And then this little wedge goes in here.
Oh, okay.
And what it
Oh,
does
so it
is
really pushes it down.
and it holds the piece down
Yeah.
while clamping it together at the same
Ah,
time.
I see what you're doing there. Ah, that's pretty cool. Very cool.
This is probably, I don't know, a couple hundred years old, this design.
That's
But it still
fantastic.
works better than any other way that they've come up with. to join these
Absolutely.
things.
So from here, where do we go?
From there, the next step are really, this wood would get sanded
Yeah.
to the right thickness.
Okay.
Some people scrape it, I sand it because I'm too lazy. These would be a pair of sides right here. They're cut on here to the basic rough shape of what I want to start with.
Okay.
Well, next I would take this piece of wood and
Yeah.
I'd want to bend it. Traditionally they would bend these over a hot pipe, but fortunately we have this great clever invention here, which is called a side bender.
Yep.
So what I would normally do is I would spray this piece of wood with water and I would slide it into this fixture here like this.
There you go.
Then I would turn it on. This would heat up.
And then you'd push it down. If you can see, guys, well, that's pretty well what it turns out to look like
Correct.
once it's been literally dried by the lights inside. And then we hook it up down to the bottom there.
So this would go down there like that.
And it heats it, and guess what?
And about 15 minutes later, it'll come out of there and it'll be pretty much formed. I usually run it through a couple times to make sure that it sets really well. Okay, so for the next step, we'll take these bent pieces,
Okay.
we'll build a guitar out of them. The first step is I need to take the pieces and cut them to the right length so that they'll fit in the jigs. So this basically is a router with a flush trimmer on it,
Yes.
and it will run along these edges here
Okay.
and trim the pieces off.
Okay.
Once they're trimmed off, the pieces are put into this jig here,
Yep.
and the end blocks are put in place so that it attaches the two sides. And then this light colored wood you see in here is called lining or kerfing.
Yes.
And basically what it is a piece of wood. There's a bunch of little cuts in it, so it's very flexible.
Yeah, look at that. It's amazing.
The guitar is actually a dome shape on the back.
Yeah.
So it's a dished form, and it's actually sanded to that form. The braces are then glued into that same curve, and then they're placed into the guitar form.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next step, we'd want to put a top on this.
Yeah.
So over here I've got, it's called a go bar deck.
Yeah.
These are basically sticks of wood,
They just sort of go in there under pressure, do they?
and they just kind of clamp underneath the top, and it holds the bracing and everything in place
Wow.
while the glue dries. Okay, once the guitar is all put together, I would have a guitar, I would have it here, and I would use these routers,
Yeah.
and these have different bearings on them, so they cut different depths.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to do is cut a ledge right along the edge of the guitar here.
Oh, I see, I see, I see.
For the binding to go on. What we'd end up with here's a completed guitar. If you want, you can hang on to this.
Oh, of course.
It has the binding already on it,
Yeah.
and so this is ready for finish now. The only thing left to do would be to make a neck. Here's a kind of an example of a couple of necks that are in sequence. This would be a very beginning neck,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'd glue the fretboard and stuff on it.
Wow.
And finally, you'd have it a completed neck, which would look like this. And this would basically
Fit into there like so.
doesn't actually go on this guitar, but it gives you an idea of how the process would be done.
Well, part of the art of what you do, apart from this magnificent craftsmanship, is to make these inlay stories and pictures.
Correct.
You know, you've got some fantastic clients as well that collect your work. I mean,
Right.
like major clients, major musicians as well,
Right.
across the United States. But I think the fascinating part about it is the inlay. So why don't we go next door to your other area and have a look at what Harvey does, because it really is quite amazing. As I said, it'll blow you away. Okay, Harvey, now we're in the area where you do your inlay work, but you've got some of the materials that you use over there. So can you describe those to us, please?
Sure. Generally, inlay work, the most common material is a type of shell, either abalone or mother of pearl or something like this. And this is basically what the shells look like. So in Asia, they came up with a way to actually cut the shells very thin. This is about 7/1000ths of an inch thick. Well, there was a man here in the United States who decided that, well, this is a veneer, just like a veneer that you'd find in wood. So what would happen if we took this veneer and glued several of them together and created plywood, basically? So this is a new material called abalone.
But you've also got some, is it mammoth tusk?
This is actually prehistoric fossilized mammoth ivory. Very similar to elephant ivory. Of course, this is 25,000 years old instead of something that's alive today. Another thing that I do is I use a lot of synthetic materials. One of the challenges of doing inlay work is, you know, as a painter, you can take reds and blues and mix them together and get purple. Well, you can't do that with inlay work. But some of the other materials that I use, these are semi-precious metals. This is 10 karat gold.
Yep.
This is silver.
Yes.
This is actually nickel silver and copper.
Yep.
These are basically corian, which is a countertop material. They have a lot of real stone textures to it. So a lot of the inlay work I do, in fact, some of the ones we'll be seeing later, we're using these imitation stones.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, this is a new material that's being created by the same same guy who invented the abalone, and it's actually I'm not even sure how they do it. It's using a foil.
So from there, I can see that you've got, looks like a jeweler's fret saw of some sort.
Right.
So you're going to give us a small demonstration today. As I said, because your work just takes an extraordinarily long time to do. But you're going to cut out a heart for us, is that correct?
Correct.
And just show us how that's done, and then show us how you use the router to inlay into the timber as well.
Okay.
Well, let's make a start on that.
Okay, so first of all, the tools of ignorance.
Yeah.
This is a jeweler's saw.
Yep.
And it has a blade in it that is
Very,
tiny.
very thin.
And this is a blade, you can't see it, but there's a blade here, trust me.
Yeah.
And it's so flexible you could actually tie a knot in it.
That's amazing.
But it's basically a coping saw blade that's very, very small.
Yes.
And it's mounted in this frame, and the tension of the blade is completely put in by applying pressure to it here.
Okay.
Okay, so now the real tool of ignorance is this beautiful headlight, which has a magnification on it here, and it has lights. And it's a good look, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
Straight out of an ant colony.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
So basically, I have a board here. There's a hole cut in it,
Yeah.
and the blade will go into that hole. I have a smaller hole here for cutting finer things.
Yes.
So on this is a pattern, a piece of paper that has a heart on it.
Yes.
It's a very slow process. It's kind of a Zen thing because it's a breathing process, almost like you do 5 strokes and then you blow the dust out of the way. So it's all,
Yeah, yeah.
my wife says it keeps me breathing good.
Yeah. And the one that you did for C.F. Martin, which was sort of like the Da Vinci Unplugged, that guitar's worth $1 million.
That's what they say.
Wow.
That was the value that they put on it, and
That's unreal.
it's in their museum. So.
And also there was a gentleman that actually helped you with that, and his name was Bob Heggett, and he is the leading scrimshaw artist in the world.
Correct. Yeah, he's up in Oregon. He's just an amazing artist. We had wanted to work together on something for years, and finally we were presented with the opportunity of 1.5 million with Martin. We said, yeah, well, that'll work.
Yeah.
170 years worth of history.
So you guys make $1 million guitar.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
So as I get close to the end here, I kind of slow down a little bit so it doesn't chip out in the end.
Yes.
There, I'm done. Okay, so the piece is cut out.
Okay.
Next thing I do is I want to inlay it into this piece of ebony right here. So what I do is I hold it approximately where I want it to go.
Yeah.
If it's something really delicate, I might actually glue it in place. I just want to cut into the wood a little bit. When I take it off, there'll be a cut there. Now, you really can't see that. So what we do is we take and rub a little chalk in it.
I see.
And now I can see a better idea of what I'm doing.
Oh, there you go. How about that?
The next thing is, this is the router that I use. It has a 30 thousandths diameter router bit in it. Okay, that should be pretty good.
Okay.
Should slide right in there.
Oh, look at that. And ready to go. So it's...
And then the last thing I'm gonna do is just put a couple of drops of super glue in here around the edges. You know, a lot of people think, well, you want to have a perfect joint, but you really want to have a glue line so that the wood, when it expands and contracts, it doesn't crack the inlays itself. So,
Of course, yes.
and that's basically a very basic inlay. This is about as basic as it gets. What I do is obviously more advanced, but it's just more advanced versions of doing this exact same thing over and over again on a smaller detail and putting inlays into inlays, you know, so.
All right, well, let's have a look at a bit more of that advanced stuff on your next table, which is at the back of this room. Okay, Harvey, now we've moved to the other section of your workshop, and this is where you really start to put these fantastic imaginatory pieces together. And now I'll just hold this up, because it's the only way you're going to get the idea of what this man does, is that this is the actual dress of the geisha. And Harvey actually is cutting each individual piece out. Now, what actually is this that we're using here?
This is mother of pearl.
Okay.
They've been cut into these little tiny triangles.
Yeah.
And then they've been dipped in a red dye.
Yeah.
What I'm doing here is I'm remaking two guitars that I did originally, the geisha and the samurai guitar, into one guitar. And it's for a museum show that I'm doing for the Musical Instrument Museum in Arizona. So this is a bridge. And this is just different kinds of wood that I put in here, some of them to show the underside of the boards, some of them to show the sides of the boards.
Yes.
I'm a little obsessed with the detail.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about the dress here, these little triangles. There's 2,800 of them in this dress. That's tedious at best.
Sort of, kinda.
Yeah. Earlier I was talking about using some of the synthetic materials, the Corian and countertop material, and that's basically what this rock wall is. So this rock wall would go here, like this.
Yeah.
And this other rock wall would go over here.
And then you've also got another piece of clear material there.
Right.
And this is something that you alone have come up with.
Right.
And I think it's a bit of the envy of the other inlay folks.
Yeah, it's kind of, you know, a lot of them have asked if they could use it, but a few of them were a little, you know, disappointed that they didn't come up with it first, to put it lightly. The name for it came up as Smoke and Mirrors. The first inlays that I did for Martin was for a recreation of these Western scenes, and it was on a guitar that was made to debut with their 1 millionth guitar at a big trade show. And I wanted to do something special, so I came up with this idea. And that guitar has an inlay of a bar scene on it with a mirror in the background. So I used this to create the mirror, and it also has a train on the headstock which has smoke coming out of it.
Yeah.
And the smoke from the train obscures the Martin name.
Yeah.
You know, which had never been done before on a guitars. But one of the guys at Martin, Dick Boak, he coined the phrase smoke and mirrors, and it's kind of stuck with it, as that's what this technique has been called ever since.
Yeah.
Well, this is mother of pearl. One of the unique characteristics of mother of pearl is that it's highly reflective and colorful, but you can also see through it. On certain angles, you can see whatever's behind it. So you can use this as a type of glass to lay over the surface of things, and it creates this cool smoke and mirrors effect. It's kind of a holographic effect, and it's kind of become my trademark to do.
Well, what we're going to do we're going to put one of these tiny little stars together.
Correct.
For one of these geisha dresses. And as I said, guys, you know, if you wanted to sit with Harvey for the next probably year, you'd be able to see how he puts all this together. But we're just getting a brief glimpse of it today. So how do we go about doing that, mate?
Okay, well, first thing I need to do is get my headset again, because I'll need to be able to see what I'm doing.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here is first you have to, each one of these triangles have to be combined with another one. And when I put this super glue on here, pretty much the way inlay has been done for, you know, thousands of years, it's just taking it to a new level of creating detail. So what I end up doing is I end up making 6 of these little pointy things here.
Yes.
And I'll just kind of set those off to the side here, but I've already glued up a couple of other ones here. So they are assembled into this little guy here.
Yeah.
There's another one here like this. What I'm going to end up doing with this, I'm going to put together a couple hundred of these things. I have to do the whole dress.
I'd like to talk about 2 pieces. One from the past, the 911 guitar.
Okay, and the 911 was a guitar that's commissioned by my brother to kind of commemorate that, and it depicts the 3 scenes from the 3 crash sites.
And now for the future, and this, without a doubt, will be your masterpiece, and it's going to take you probably a year or so to complete it. And that is a guitar that is based around Michelangelo's The Sistine Chapel.
Well, I've done Da Vinci, so now I have to do Michelangelo. It's only fair. My attempt will be to recreate the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel inside on the back of the guitar. I'm going to cut the windows through the sides of the guitar so you can actually see through the sides of the guitar into the back to look at the inlays.
How long do you think it'll take you to do that?
Probably a couple years.
Wow, and it's incredible, and you can just see by the images that we're screening up now how unbelievable this particular piece of work is going to be. Okay guys, fantastic day with an amazingly talented man. I'm just going to show you this beautiful piece of work before we go. As you can see this spectacular piece of timber. That was off that special tree, wasn't it?
That's the tree.
Yeah, and just those panels at the back is worth $10,000, just that panel.
Correct.
Right. God, it's amazing. Now, your website, Harvey, is?
It's harveyleachinlays.com.
And some of the people, you've had some fairly famous people buy your guitars. Some of them we can't mention because they are too famous.
That's true.
But some of the other guys?
One of my first guys was Roy Clark, who was on Hee Haw, and Brad Paisley has a couple of my guitars. So it's a number of people like that, you know.
And in saying that, you know, you've got some really reasonably priced guitars as well.
Correct.
I mean, you know, these really are works of art under any circumstances. When you create a guitar that's worth $1 million, you can understand that it really is a piece of art. But we've had a fantastic day, bud. We're gonna move on. Once again, come in and see Harvey if you would like to know more about these, or come to colouryourlife.com.au and come and see us. Facebook page and YouTube as well. But Harv, thank you very much, bud.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. And remember, guys, until we see each other again, make sure you put some colour in your life, and also make sure you put some inlay in your life as well. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye now.
All right.
See you guys.
Thanks for stopping by.
Bye.
All right.